Alright guys, this is basically the first time I've done a guide like this, so I'm not entirely sure what works and what doesn't. So please leave comments and thoughts below so I can improve on future guide attempts. If you like this one, I will try to keep making more in the future. Alright, so this is going to be kind of a two-part guide. In the first part I'm going to be explaining how to make generous use of macros for pet control on this fight, and how it can be used to free up a lot of your attention to get optimal results from your Felguard. The second half is when I will go over the fight itself and how to go about playing it. So, using a lot of macros, I am basically able to set a target priority for my Felguard. This means that without trying to micromanage my pet throughout the fight, it will still prioritize nether worms over the current head that is up. In order to make this work, there are a few things that you must do. Step 1. Put your pet on passive. This is very important. If you do not have your pet on passive, it will wind up choosing its current target based off the Blizzard pet AI, which I shouldn't have to tell you is not that great. Step 2. Add this macro into every one of your single target spells. This will tell your pet to attack your current target whenever you're using our single target spell, which means you're not AoEing worms. Step 3. Add this macro into every one of your AoE spells. This will force your pet to switch to the closest nether worm to you. Simply set up these macros and you will not have to think about pet positioning the entire fight. I recommend you add the AoE macro to the following spells: Hellfire, Grimoire Felguard, Harvest Life, Hand of Gul'dan, and Carrion Swarm. Step 4. Because most guilds keep the Venomous head up for the entire fight, I also recommend making the following macro to easily apply Doom to the Venomous head whenever under Envision of Lei Shen procs. It is more important for single target damage to keep a crit Doom up the entire fight, and because you're never killing the Venomous head, whenever you go to the next phase, you will not be losing that crit proc. This will allow you to react quickly, and not have to deal with refocusing the head every time a new phase starts. You want to bind this to an easy to hit button, for example I use Z. So basically that covers the macro section of this guide. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I can try to get back to you. Alright, so for Megaera herself, the biggest thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to be aware of which parts of your single target rotation are doubling as major parts of your AoE rotation. Things like Hand of Gul'dan, Fellstorm, and Grimoire Felguard need to be held on to for when a pack of netherworms are about to spawn. A lot of maximizing your DPS on this fight is maximizing your AoE output. For this fight, I used the following talents and glyphs. Harvest Life is used as your Fury Dump on netherworms. Void Ray has both limited width and low damage, which makes it a weak option for Metamorphosis AoE. Shadow Fury allows for times when your ads are getting a little bit out of control, because as you know, not every fight goes 100% according to plan. Grimoire Service is a very strong cooldown when used for its Fellstorm. Properly used, the burst you can throw out on netherworms with it is unsurpassed. It takes a little bit more work than just specking Gosack, but I think it's worth it. Monarch's Fury is by far the best talent we have for this fight. Using this you will be able to safely AoE netherworms from a ranged position, which means that you can properly place the Ice Beam, and it also allows to be able to AoE worms that have gotten loose from the tank. When you pull Megaera, you basically want to do a normal DPS rotation. However, you want to save Grimoire Felguard for its use on netherworms. You will get far more damage out of it, making sure that its Fellstorm is used for AoE and not single target. On the pull, you want to make sure you get a full pandemic crit rolling on the Venomous head, as it will be your primary imp generator for most of the pull. The dooms that get applied to your current target will generally not last long enough to have a huge impact on the number of imps you generate. That said, it is always worth putting Doom up if it will generate at least one imp. As you can see on this first wave of nether imps, I use Grimoire Felguard as soon as I see them spawning. He takes a few seconds to run over and begin Fellstorming, so it is the perfect global tease as they are popping out. I made a mistake by not saving my initial engineering bomb in Fellstorm for this pack, which kind of sucked. Because the netherworms spawn wave after wave, I find that Chaos Wave is generally not a good option to be spending Fury on. It doesn't do more damage than just using Hand of Gul'dan, and you will find that you are Fury starved on heads where you get several successive waves of netherworms. My general rotation when dealing with the netherworms is Grimoire Felguard if it is up, followed by Hand of Gul'dan once enough has spawned. I then follow this up with a few seconds of Hellfire, followed by the second Hand of Gul'dan. Once I go into meta, I pop Immolation Aura and start channeling Harvest Life. I'll also try to weave in Carrion Swarms as often as possible. Engineering Bombs are also a huge boost in DPS if you are an engineer. Keep in mind they are affected by the damage increases of Metamorphosis, so always try to be in Metamorphosis when you decide to use them. If you are using my pet control macros, just press Fellstorm on cooldown whenever the nether worms are active. As you get additional Unerring Vision procs throughout the fight, make sure you are prioritizing Doom on the Venomous head to make sure you are getting the most possible imps spawning throughout the fight. You will generally have your Dark Soul and Grimoire Felguard come off cooldown sometimes during the first Arcane Head. I generally use my Dark Soul right away, however I hold on to Grimoire Felguard for the next head as there are no netherworms that spawn during the Arcane Head. In general, this head is a good time to build a lot of fury for the successive waves of netherworms that will be coming shortly, as well as a good time to dump a lot of the MC procs that you probably have gained from AoEing on the previous head. This head generally goes down fairly quick, so I like to hold on to Fellstorm and Bomb if they come up during it. The Arcane Head is kind of a lull moment in the fight where there isn't much going on. If you are quick enough, you can generally get a free corruption on the Venomous head, as there is nothing else spawned at the beginning of a phase. This will generally provide you with a little extra fury as well as free damage to rank with. After you kill the first Arcane Head, you will start getting a lot of netherworms spawning, and they will consume most of your casting time. This is the point where I highly discourage using Chaos Wave, as you'll be spending all of your fury on AoE already, and using Chaos Wave is just going to make a bigger problem. Always keep an eye on your Bomb and Fellstorm cooldowns to make sure that you are using them effectively. The biggest thing to watch out for during this phase as a Demon Lock is your positioning. If you are too far forward, you can greatly increase the difficulty of the fight for your teammates by poorly placing an Ice Beam or Fire debuff. If for whatever reason adds are spawning too far away and it is clearly unsafe for you to be that far forward, I opt to just casting Harvest Life in caster form. However, this is clearly not an ideal situation. One of the things a lot of warlocks miss is the value of Infernal Awakening during an AoE situation. Infernal Awakening is classified as your spell and not your pet's. This means it is affected by the Metamorphosis damage increase and thus Dark Soul. It is also affected by Monarch's Fury, so it has a huge range. The Infernal's AoE itself is not affected by Monarch's Fury and is very weak, so when using the Infernal, make sure you are getting the most out of the Infernal Awakening and not trying to get the most out of the Guardian. At this point, most guilds opt to kill Arcane a second time. This means that there is only one Arcane Head in the back of the rune spawning ends, so it is another minor lull in the frantic pace of the fight. Because of this, I try to save all cooldowns for the last head to make sure it lasts as little time as possible. On the last head, just keep on doing what you've been doing for the rest of the fight, and you should end near the top of the meters. Demo is very strong in this fight if done correctly, and also a lot of fun. At this point there isn't much to add, so I will just let you watch the rest of this kill. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below. If you have any suggestions on what I can do better in the future, or something else you'd like to see added to these videos, please let me know. Thank you for watching.